Stuff that I wanted, they're being knocked down. And much of the community, Chris is assisting housing stock is
Chair.
one story, one stories.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine, yeah. I know her.
Yeah, she's there.
So saying those,
Yeah. What's her name?
Absolutely.
Came up on the call twice today.
Yeah.
Like she's going to discuss with that. Because I brought this woman in, I vetted it. Margaret came.
house.
the three-story.
Yeah, she wants part of the three-story, and they blessed me.
Measure
From the
volume
mean,
stuff.
like, already asked.
So it's 30.
So it just takes over the meeting those things.
So
Well, I
they're
think
going
they-
to
it's like Margaret gave it to us.
those.
Who was gonna do all.
Yeah.
And then,
As the.
and she would go on about two other things, I was like, I'm not doing another thing until you tell me.
I was just part of doing this hearing where.
Now she's not.
Build
now
up
it's,
residents of that community was involved in.
So that was gonna be actually. She does that.
Substantially.
No, it stopped.
Because
Because nobody could answer any question.
restores was. Part of.
No voting?
Re-isolating.
If Jean votes, then.
Let's maintain something that's.
You're comfortable with
Then I vote.
It's not gonna stop the.
That would be permission basically. Every time I vote, I get.
But to be done in a manner that is not.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do it.
Oh, here it is.
Not yet, couldn't see him. April 7th. April 7th. I got a full camera too. There's some shaking, yeah. Gene said he's in. This never here. I know it's head under the.
Yes, the under the-
It's type works, you gotta go down, then it's a speed.
Challenges.
Yes. That's what.
All right, we're ready to go.
All right, let's get the show notes. This meeting is being held in conformance with the Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been posted on the township website and sent to the newspaper of record. The agenda has also been posted on the township website and bulletin board at the municipal building at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. The agenda items will not necessarily be heard in the order listed, and the meeting will not continue substantially past 10:30 p.m. Do a roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Hall,
Here.
Ms. Roundtree. Here. Ms. Pogue. Here. Mr. Popolo,
Here.
Ms. Kingsley.
Here,
She's here remotely.
Yes, but we didn't hear her.
You gotta say here.
I said here.
We can't hear her.
So mute,
Are they not hearing me?
so she can't hear.
She can't hear either.
It says turn up the volume, not hearing.
Hold on.
How about now? Can you hear now?
Can you hear now?
There you go.
Okay,
Ms.
I think you
Kingsley?
guys have me muted. Hello, everybody.
Present? Mr. Harris?
I don't know if she can hear us.
I can hear.
Mr. Harris?
Present.
Mr. Kraut?
Present.
Kodo?
Here.
Mr. Sternheim? Mr. Leo?
Here.
Mr. Robertson?
Here.
And Mr. Stritter?
Here.
All right, do I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the January 7th, 2026 reorganization meeting?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Do I have a motion to approve the January 7th, 2026 executive session?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All opposed? Okay, resolution, amending the resolution which designated official newspapers for the Township of Berkeley Heights Planning Board. At the reorganization meeting, we identified the Star Ledger and the Courier News as the official newspapers. This resolution will amend it to include the Courier News online publication, My Central Jersey, as an official electronic media newspaper. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Hi.
All opposed? Okay, we'll now go to Mr. Mistretta for a presentation and a public hearing on the amendment to the fourth round of the housing element and fair share plan.
Speak here. Good evening, Michael Mistretta from Harbor Consultants. And I'm here tonight to present an amendment to the township's housing element and fair share plan. I just had one handout. There are extra copies at the table tonight. And I'm going to try and make this as simple as I can. We are required under our consent order with Fair Share Housing Center and the court in the fourth round, and I'm going to read the exact requirement off of the record. I'm reading a quote off of page 11 of our consent order on our housing plan. I'll get to that in a minute. The requirement specifically states the township will revise the third and fourth round crediting tables to allocate bonus credits and provide the basis for the claimed bonus credit. The township shall provide Fair Share Housing Center with the revised crediting tables by February 15th. Did that? The township shall include the revised crediting tables in its housing element fair share plan and adopt the revised housing element fair share plan or amendment to what I just handed out to the housing element on a date to be established at the case management conference on February 20th, 2026. We're doing in advance of Friday's case management conference, with the crediting chart has already been approved by Fair Share Housing Center. Now, I just handed out a couple-page document in color. The first page is the narrative that explains what I just briefly summarized. The next couple of pages, if you could flip to the colored chart. What did I just say? It's highlighted in the orange column. We are required under our agreement with Fair Share Housing Center on the adoption of our fourth round plan. They made it a specific requirement that we amend our plan to identify where and how we have allocated our bonus credits. For people not in the affordable housing world, to be very clear, what we're doing here tonight is we are not adding any projects. We're not adding any density. We're not adding any sites. We're not changing our housing plan in any way, shape, or form. But we are required under the amended Fair Housing Act and the requirement of our consent order with Fair Share Housing to say, how are we achieving our bonus credits? Identify it, and not only identify it, but go all the way back to the history of Berkeley Heights providing affordable housing and identify it for each and every round. That's the orange column in the tables that you have tonight. It's multiple pages, and you'll see on top it says bonus credits. The first page, I'm on page 2, summary of 89 bonus credits. We had to show the court and Fair Share Housing Center, how did we get these bonus credits? How can we take credit for them? Project by project, credit by credit. So they're identified starting in all of the projects that you list where it says inclusionary projects, all previously approved, all at the same densities. We're not changing anything. We're just saying to the court and Fair Share, this is how we're capturing those 89 bonus credits. You continue on page 3. You're only allowed so many bonus credits per round. So you can see there are no, when we get into the next round, we don't have any. We used up to 89. And to be very clear, our prior round was 359. We're only allowed 25%, and that's the 89. And you see that in the column in orange. So then we continue with the next series of mechanisms. There's no bonus credits because we already exceeded the 89. We met the 89, so I can't go up above that. And then we start the process all over again in the fourth round. We have a number of 240, that's our obligation. The projects starting on the left-hand side, bottom of page 4 and extending to page 5 are not changing at all. It's exactly what this board approved and the council endorsed back in June 2025. However, they said be specific and tell us exactly how you're gonna get those bonus credits. This time we're allowed 60 in the fourth round, and we identify how we meet them. The reason why, read between the lines, why are they asking us to go through all of this? But how you allocate your bonus credits changed from the third round to the fourth round. It's a complete overhaul of how bonus credits were allocated, how you could use them. So I'm summarizing, that's why they had us do that. What we have done, and this is proof in this chart, is we have maximized our use of bonus credits in both the third round and the fourth round. And we did it under the law. We did it correctly. Been scrutinized. Every town I know wants to use the most amount of bonus credits. A bonus credit is constructing a unit, and then you get a bonus for building that unit. And there's a whole host of different bonus credits you're allowed to use, but you're not allowed to exceed multiple different type of caps. You can only use so many for age restricted, so many for family, so on and so forth. So this whole amendment is just to show the court that we accurately and correctly used our bonus credits under the law. And it's the orange column. Everything else in these documents, nothing has changed. No mechanism has changed whatsoever. Any questions? That's literally that's my presentation on the amendment.
Any questions? Do I have to open it to the public to see if any questions?
Yes.
Does anybody from the public have any questions?
Just one, they accepted this format, right?
Yes, and the reason why we're doing it tonight, and we have a case management conference, basically a checkup on Friday, making sure that we're checking all the boxes, we're doing everything we're supposed to do under our agreement, and I would be happy to say that we've already accomplished this step.
Good. Anybody from the public have any questions?
Sure. I can ask questions on anything. What is this?
Just this topic right now.
The other stuff I can ask other questions.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
State your name, please.
Joe Iadanza, 923 Mountain Avenue. I have a question. On page 5, it says B, the township shall identify the location of the proposed 100% affordable site by March 15th. If I read through this, that's going to be on the Connell site?
No, sir. That specific quote is referring to a provision of our consent agreement and what's in our adopted housing plan, that in the fourth round, at the option of the township, if they choose, they can construct up to a 24-unit, 100% affordable housing project if they want to. If we do choose that path, we have until March 15th to identify the site to Fair Share Housing Center. That's the requirement. If we do not move forward with that 24-unit, 100% affordable housing project, the units that would have been constructed would default to the Connell site specifically.
Okay. All right. I don't know if you brought up the Builders Association and the Fair Share Housing Center. Did you bring that up on your presentation?
I mentioned Fair Share a few times, yes.
Okay, so you opened the door, as they say.
Sure.
So the township received 2 objections to the township's binding resolution challenging the TCA's calculation of its fair share obligations. One from the Builders Association on February 27, 2025, and one from the Fair Share Housing Center on February 28, 2025. Were these 2 objections for Berkeley Heights singled out individually, or do those two organizations send out objections to all the township, cities, et cetera, by a computer-generated program to all the population centers in the state of New Jersey?
Can't speak for every municipality in New Jersey, but I can tell you that every municipality I represent, we received a challenge from. I want to make sure I'm accurate on this. I believe I received a challenge from the Builders Association in every case and fair share in almost every case. To be clear, this goes back almost a year. Well, it goes back to what was addressed back in January when we went through a series of court hearings and with those parties, when they said we should have a much higher number than 240 for our fourth round, and through negotiations, court hearings, so forth, we settled on 240. Council adopted a resolution supporting the 240 prior to January 30th, 2025. That's on record with our report substantiating that.
I understand. What I'm trying to get at, do these two organizations automatically send out all these,
They weren't they're not computer generated. Actually, what Fair Share filed against the township, I think it was December.
not just our township, all townships?
Yeah, but they're not computer generated. They're I mean, we literally had to go down through every single vacant property. It's site specific. So it was absolutely not computer generated. It's
Okay.
very, very
Well, let
specific.
me put it a little different way. With Chatham, with New Providence, Summit, any other town, and get that same kind of information from these two organizations at around the same time.
I can't speak for those towns. I don't represent those towns, but I'm
Okay.
pretty confident.
You don't know them.
I don't know and I don't want to go there. I'm not comfortable.
I understand. Yeah. You know, I can talk about Nokia too, so, okay,
Not yet.
talk to you later. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Robertson, I guess we can consider a resolution.
Yes, there's a resolution in the packet which would be adopting this amendment to the housing element for the housing element fair share plan. On the second page, it was a summary of what Mr. Strata just testified to, indicating the court had entered the consent order and that there has been an amended fourth round housing element fair share plan, which is attached as an exhibit. And that this was done on notice, and the board has determined that the resolution would be that the board has determined to adopt the amended fourth round housing element fair share plan.
Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yeah.
Ms. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue. Yes. Mr. Popolo,
Yes.
Ms. Kingsley,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Kodo.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Okay, we're gonna skip over to page 3 now. And stay with the topic of the fair share housing and the municipal land use procedures ordinance. So I'll turn back to Mr. Mistrata to talk about it.
Thank you. The next one we have is an amendment to our downtown zone districts, downtown development DD and the HB zones. The amendment it's a lot of pages. The only amendment in this ordinance is in the third round. Our downtown we have an inclusionary, it's called an overlay ordinance. As projects are built, we're to collect more affordable housing units in our downtown. When it was adopted in the third round, there was a requirement that the set aside, the number of affordable housing units was 15% for rental units and then 20% set aside for sale units. This amendment changes the set aside from 15% to 20% for rentals, and it remains 20% for sale. This is administrative cleanup, if you will, that just it keeps all of our documents consistent. As you know, the township has previously adopted our fourth round plan that recommended, regardless of any of the projects, every project in our town moving forward in the fourth round, regardless if it's for sale or rental, will have a 20% set aside. Our ordinance, we have an old ordinance on our books, and we're just simply cleaning that up so it's consistent.
Okay, any questions? Any questions from the public?
Question, is that ordinance number 202603? 202604? Twenty 2604, that's 47 pages.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 2026-03.
Oh, three. All right, got it covered.
Sure.
Josiah Danza, 923 Mountain Avenue. On 2026-03, there's verbiage in section 8 that says, the ordinance shall be presented to the mayor for her approval and signature, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It indicates the sex 3 times. It says her, and her. Can that be changed just to put down the mayor? As I with all due respect, I talked to her last night about this, because you never know if you can get abducted by aliens. So I'm not trying to be funny, I'm just trying to say, in today's day and age, anything can happen in the world.
It's,
Excuse me?
Gender neutral.
Gender neutral, there you go.
the planning board would not be the appropriate board to amend the wording of that ordinance that was introduced by the town council. If they were to amend it, they might be able to make a minor non-substantive amendment at the public hearing, but that would be for the town council, not for the planning board.
Can I speak to this for a second? I think what happened, we've historically had male mayors, and when Mayor Devaney came in, we looked at some things, and when it's happening in real time, we use the gender of the mayor at the time.
That's all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nothing that this board would be involved with. The resolution that's on is simply consistency. The finding that this ordinance is consistent with the master plan. And I believe you heard from Mr. Mistretta that this is cleaning up the ordinance so that it specifically is consistent with the prior master plan. That's the board's role this evening on that ordinance adoption.
You can't change it. Okay. You can't change it, the town council has to change it. Who wrote it then? Where did we get all that verbiage? Is that a boilerplate? Did we have a lawyer write that up? Did the state write it up?
We don't know who that. It's referred to us. Our role is to review the ordinance and make a determination as to whether or not the ordinance would be consistent with the master plan. We're prepared it. I really have no idea. The board went.
Is there something to do with the DCA? Okay,
I don't believe so.
Shane,
I
thank
don't
you.
believe so.
I'll be back.
All right, so the resolution, I think everybody's clear. Do I have a motion to pass the resolution?
Mr. Sullivan? I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson,
Yeah.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree.
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes,
Mr. Popolo,
Yes.
Ms. Kingsley,
Yes,
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Kodo.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
All right, we're gonna stay on page 3 and go to the one below that, which is also on affordable housing, and I'll turn it back to Mr.
Thank you. Ordinance number 2026-04 is again another administrative cleanup document. In our land use or in our code, our land use code today. If you look in our code today, we have a affordable housing ordinance. We have a development fee ordinance. We have a mandatory set aside ordinance, all approved as part of our third round. In December 2025, the state DCA released and the state legislature adopted updated regulations known as the UHAC rules, which govern how affordable housing units are essentially designed, built, constructed, monitored, maintained, allocated, every word you could think of, how they're managed and how they're overseen once they're approved. It's very granular, and the new UHAC rules came out December 2025. And again, in our consent order, and every town that I'm involved in statewide has the same provision. You need to update your code because the regulations have changed over the last 10 years. So DCA issued a model regulation. We edited for Berkeley Heights, and they keep changing it, but we are adopting essentially an administrative update to our code. We're not adding anything to our code. If you go in there tonight, you look for development fee ordinances, it's there. If you look for affordable housing ordinance, it's there. If you look for a mandatory set aside ordinance, it's there. But now it's brought up to they're all based on the third round rules, which are now outdated because with two major pieces of legislation have occurred, the amended Fair Housing Act and the updated UHAC rules. All this does is basically bring those three ordinances that we have on our books today up to date. I will point out on page 1 of this ordinance, it does say in the second whereas clause, need order date, because we are required to insert the court order date into that ordinance. When we released this, we did not have that date. We now have that date. So when this is just a consistency review, but when it goes back to the Township Council for adoption, we will add that order date since we did not have it at that time. Other than that, it's boilerplate. I'm happy to go through the document if you want, but I'm not going to do that to you unless you ask me to.
Any questions? Any questions from the public? Okay, we're good.
There's a consistency resolution that's attached with this ordinance, same as the earlier one, again, just a finding that this ordinance that Mr. Mistretta has described is consistent with master plan.
Do I have a motion to pass this resolution?
Second.
Johnson,
Yeah.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Popolo,
Yes.
Ms. Kingsley,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Kodo,
Yes.
motion carries 9-0.
Okay, we're going back to page 2 on the redevelopment of the Nokia site.
Thank you. Resolution 2026-104, authorizing the planning board to undertake preliminary investigation study pursuant to, that's the local redevelopment and housing law citation and JSA 40A:12A-6. This is for the Nokia Bell Labs campus. If I could jump for a second, again, a requirement of our consent order and a requirement of our fourth round housing plan. And we can, if you want, go back and take a look at that chart that I handed out originally under on page 5 of that chart that I handed out. The top line says the Nokia Bell Labs campus project. So this is a project that was in our fourth round plan. The density is allocated. You can see a little A, and talks about the bonus credits, the address, block and block. Now, this project in our plan, and it's in our approval from the court, and specifically says the township will adopt a redevelopment plan and enter into a redevelopment agreement for a proposed inclusionary project consisting of 300 total age-restricted units with 20% set aside or 60 affordable housing units. Fair Share Housing Center and the township agreed that the adoption of the redevelopment plan and entering into it says entering into of the redevelopment agreement for this specific project could take longer than the current March 15, 2026 deadline. That said, the township and the Nokia site developer will make every effort to finalize the redevelopment plan and the redevelopment agreement as soon as possible. What the court and Fair Share recognized is, yes, we have this zoning mechanism in our fourth round plan. Plan's going to be approved as is. But in our discussions with them, they recognize this is a large site. It's complicated. It's going to take time. It's going to take more time than March 15th, where all the other work has to get done by. And because the township is using redevelopment, just to go through the redevelopment process of going through the area in need of redevelopment designation, study, presentation, endorsement, stop, then the preparation of a redevelopment plan is going to take long. It takes a long time generally to put one of those together. However, they said, we're going to give you an extension, but you have to move on it. What we're doing tonight is following the endorsement from the council. If this is adopted, we would start preparing that study and stay in the good graces of the paragraph I just read. So this is just the first step of that process, but it is part of our plan.
Any questions?
Yeah. So I see the reference back in the fair housing plan, our fair housing plan to that product. Was that inserted, or was that proposal plan developed by the township, or by the township and Nokia, or the township and the developer of the Nokia property in concert?
It was what's in our plan was developed by the township,
right?
To be very clear.
Okay.
We put the plan together. This board approved the plan June 2025, and it was endorsed by the township council in June 2025. Submitted down to the state. That was the deadline. The deadline was June 30th, 2025, to have that plan put together. So now what we're doing now is that site and that property is part of our plan. What we're doing now is starting the rezoning process through redevelopment, which generally takes a longer time. So to answer your question directly, the town put that site in the plan at a certain density and adopted that plan. And the court has agreed to that and has been supportive.
Has the developer, I mean, because it's very specific in terms of age restricted and rental, and so I just may not know, you know, they only kind of closed on the sale of the site not too long ago, and so I wasn't aware that the developer had kind of signed on to do what we put in the plan, and so I don't know.
There was after the adoption, after we approved our plan, and again, these are minimums in our plan that we have to meet. These are all minimums.
Yeah.
We were required under the law to identify where your number, our 240 number, our fourth round obligation, we are required as a town to say where the unit's going to go, what type of units they're going to be, and show us the sites.
Okay.
That's the plan itself. And we essentially, and I don't want to go off track, but we essentially put the market rate units at the Connell site, and I'm kind of summarizing through a lot of things, not to get off track, but the market rate units were generally put at the Connell site. The age restricted were put up at the Nokia site.
Okay.
That's our fourth round plan at a very high level. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's trying to stay high level. And now and that plan has been approved. And now what I'm trying to get through all these hoops tonight and a couple more that are forthcoming. We're trying to get our plan certified. We're very close to having this plan certified. After it was submitted, we received one challenge. The developer did not challenge the plan.
Okay.
Be very clear, Fair Share did, we addressed Fair Share's comments. And they have since signed off in this consent order, and they essentially are saying, we're gonna certify your plan if you do what you said you're gonna do.
So we have basically kind of told the developer, this is what we need to do, and they haven't objected. So they are clearly going to presumably put age restricted housing there. So, okay, so
We need,
We needed it.
We need those age restricted units to stay in compliance with our plan.
okay.
We need them.
And then obviously, right, they've got to kind of work with us.
Yeah, and the rest is a conversation.
Gotcha.
But when you go through the redevelopment process, it's the redevelopment has a lot more flexibility. Eventually, get through the redevelopment study phase, which we're kicking off tonight. After that process, then there's a development of a redevelopment plan. That's really the interesting part where, what are they gonna look like, look at all the concepts and plans and all.
They know
that.
they're doing this bigger project development. We know, they know that we need at least this minimum.
Yes.
In order to satisfy it, and so kind of the caveat to us enabling you to do what you want to do is you gotta do what we need you to
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
Gotcha, okay.
Yep. And we're not, we know what those numbers are, but we haven't, there's no we haven't gotten that far yet because it's one step at a time.
Right.
And even the court and Fair Share recognize the redevelopment process. They're encouraging towns to use the redevelopment process. You actually get bonus credits for using a redevelopment process, and it's a good thing, but it takes longer.
Right.
And the statewide mandate, the requirement is March 15th for every other mechanism in our plan. They gave us an extension because of how complex this is.
Thank you.
The fact that part of that property is in New Providence. Are they doing the same thing? Doing a redevelopment study, and how is Berkeley Heights going to be working with New Providence? Because I think anything developed on that site would have to go in front of planning boards of both towns, correct?
I can't, unfortunately, under the way this is in the affordable housing world, New Providence has their own, I don't want to use the word challenges, but their own plan. All right, and I don't represent them. I don't know, and I don't know what's happening in. New
Maybe just
Providence.
say the affordable housing out of it.
Right.
You would be doing a redevelopment plan for that site.
We could only do a redevelopment plan for a property in Berkeley Heights. I can only do a redevelopment study for a property in Berkeley Heights. As strange as that sounds, I understand the dividing line right through the site with 80%, 90% of it in Berkeley Heights, the street frontage, a lot of the street frontage being in New Providence, but collectively, as in the world of the affordable housing courts, Fair Share, that line is, I can only control, or we can only control a plan that's in Berkeley Heights, a redevelopment study that's in Berkeley
And
Heights.
so the first step is the redevelopment plan, which is strictly done by you without any involvement from the developer, just basically saying to get our approval on it's in need of redevelopment.
Yeah.
Approximately how long will that take?
study, redevelopment study.
Right, redevelopment, how long?
I would like to say approximately 90 days. I think that's reasonable. It's a large, complex site. However, I have to continually report back to this group that's monitoring us. And while they did give us an extension to get this study done, they're not going to let us hang around too long and think about it.
Okay.
So the study, it would benefit this, even approving what the council did the other night by referring it here, and if the planning board approves this resolution, I've got 2 more documents that say, look, we're already advancing and we're doing everything we said we're gonna do. We're not dragging our feet. It really puts us in a strong position. And my goal is to keep us in that strong lane as long as we can. So we will move on this. We'll make it a priority and we'll get that redevelopment study done. And I'm sure we could even start that other conversation, sometime even before it's finished.
Meaning talking to the developer.
Yeah, once tonight kicks off the redevelopment study, but, I can't run and hide from this paragraph. We have to deliver as a township, we have to deliver a redevelopment plan. The court wants to see the zoning in place, and that's the bottom line.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public?
Is this specifically about Nokia?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead down to 923 Mountain Avenue. This is in regards that you're gonna undertake a preliminary investigation, correct?
Correct.
All right, now, when you do this investigation, in order to determine and recommend what the problems with the property, will you use outside sources like the DEP or other operations?
We have like a checklist of about 6 to 8 different sources. They'll all be cited in our study. It'll include an on-site investigation, permission from the property owner to tour the site. There's a set of DEP information websites that we go through. You'll see it when I present the study, you'll see all the citations as well as the county. There's many others. I don't want to miss any.
Yeah, everybody, there's always a lot of discussion of like what was made there and what was dropped in the ground.
Yeah, sure.
All that stuff.
100%.
Now, you're gonna work in conjunction with the board. So if they want to go visit the site with you, they can.
Of course. Yeah.
And I was just thinking, with this thing, with Nokia, will there be anything else other than our housing? Will the developer be able to develop anything else on that property?
Honestly, I have not gotten there yet. I can tell you what our plan, fair share, and the courts are concerned about, the housing.
Right.
Okay? That's the bottom line. That's the starting point. And to answer the other question, this is a minimum, and the flexibility of redevelopment allows us to, yes, consider other items, but that's.
If somebody wants to build a store or a gas station,
Yeah,
they can do that, if they could put in for that. Possible.
I'm really not prepared
I
to
got
talk
you.
about that tonight. I'm just day one of the study, so
Okay, who is the new property owner?
I don't know exactly. The gentleman just mentioned that they closed. I didn't even know that they closed, to be honest with
You
you.
know who the developer is then?
No,
But we know somebody bought it and somebody owns it.
I think it closed,
I don't know anything about it closing. I will soon find out if I start this study. When I start the study.
And I think I heard the word non-common, that's the word.
We are
So
not-
that helps us, or does that hinder us?
I think it helps us because when you use non-condemnation, it's usually, I think it gives us more flexibility. You're working to a common goal with the developer. There's no secret. It's in our plan, what we need from this site.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Mike, I have a question.
Sure.
In the master plan, I think there was some language in the master plan that related to the Nokia site. What was that language and how does that narrative play relative to this redevelopment study?
Just to be clear, the master plan you're talking about is the land use plan, I think. That was several years ago.
2022.
2022, you're referring to the
Totally recent.
I think it's the 2022 land use plan element that you're referring to in its discussion on Nokia. This housing plan is also a master plan that I would say supersedes. I would not, in order of priority, you don't ignore the land use plan ever. However, this housing plan element was adopted only last year. And was adopted to and it's a master plan element. The housing plan element carries the same weight as a land use plan element. They're both master plan documents and they should talk to each other. However, the land use plan element was adopted in 2022. 2024, you have the amended Fair Housing Act put into place, pushing us into the adoption of the 4th round housing plan and the capturing of the Nokia site. And these age restricted units on there. So in that order, the documents have been adopted. That doesn't mean we don't listen to and read and respect the land use plan element, but just in sequence, this one's fresh and it's very site specific, so.
So I mean,
I don't know if that,
if there was a conflict.
I would argue that the housing plan element clearly supersedes or. Yeah, I think supersedes is the right word, due to the series of legislation that's been adopted by the state. Specifically, the Amended Fair Housing Act, which kicked this whole process off. Was adopted by our state legislature post the adoption of our 2022 land use plan. You would always like them to talk to each other, but
What I recall is in the draft of the master plan, there was probably some statements on Nokia. And I believe many of them, if not all of them, were removed.
Okay, got it.
I don't think that plan that you're referring to recommended housing on Nokia, if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm recommending housing on Nokia.
Okay, remember, I
So
think at the time, I think there was a discussion about having sort of I wouldn't say an additional downtown, but a different collection of stores. There was a question about it competing.
I thought there was a
with
comment in there
downtown.
about.
So there was a mixed use, but it became a rather complex conversation.
I think at a high level, it says we don't need a third downtown, or we don't need a mini downtown that competes with our downtown when we're trying to redevelop our downtown to keep our downtown streetscape vibrant and include affordable housing and inclusionary housing and so forth. And we didn't want competing interests on different sides of the town.
So the conclusion was to minimize the language in the master plan about this.
Yes,
Got it.
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr.
Yes, the resolution associated with this referral from the council is to authorize the planning board, specifically Mr. Mistretta's firm, to undertake the preliminary investigation of the study area, which is the Nokia site, and then to report back its findings to the planning board, which will conduct a public hearing on the investigation, make a determination, and send the findings back to the council for final action with regard to a finding as to whether or not meets the criteria of an area in need of redevelopment.
So a motion to approve the resolution?
Make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Paul,
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Popolo,
Yes.
Ms. Kingsley,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. South,
Yes.
Mr. Cody.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Okay, we'll go to the next referral, which has to do with maximum building heights.
Mr. Chairman, this has nothing to do with affordable housing. Okay, those other ones are very important to me, not that this isn't, but this is ordinance 2026-01 specifically modifies and revises the building height and how building height is calculated, measured in 3 specific zones of our town. Specifically, and there's a chart on page 3, R15, R15A, R10. The change specifically it still is, but today, the building height in these 3 zone districts is 30 feet without a number of stories indicated. The proposed change is changing it from 30 feet to 27 feet and adding 2.5 stories as the height limitation. So we go from 30 feet to 27 and we're adding 2.5 stories as as part of the maximum building height requirement. Second part of this, in the chart, you'll see in parentheses, EE. On page 5, EE reads in the R10, R15, and R15A zone districts, the building height shall be defined as the vertical dimension measured from the average elevation of the finished lot grade to the highest point of the roof instead of the mean point of the roof. And the purpose of this is we have these 3 single-family districts in our town. So the character of these 3 districts are smaller homes, and as they're all built out, and they're generally speaking of a smaller building height, a smaller mass also. And the idea is to protect as sites are redeveloped, as properties are purchased, knocked down and reconstructed, that as they're reconstructed and improvements are made or renovated on these 3 specific zones, that they respect the overall character of the community of these 3 districts. And that's the specific reason for this amendment. Earlier in the ordinance, we cite, I'll read them all to record if you want, but we cite specific objectives of our land use plan element, objectives and actions. We cite them right into the whereas clauses about maintaining the integrity and character of these smaller size lot communities, and doesn't stop development, doesn't stop renovation, doesn't stop improvement of these buildings, but it's just trying to respect the overall character as they move forward.
The previous site was 38 feet, right?
I believe it's 30 feet.
30.
30 feet, but it's a combination of 30 feet and how the 30-foot is dimensioned, which really allows for a much, because when you take the mean height of the roof.
Well, the mean is 30.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? The average from the top to the gutter?
Yeah, got it. But there's no absolute limit. So, I mean, theoretically, you could have a roof that's almost vertical that goes up 80 feet where the mean is.
Not under this definition.
Yeah, okay, the new.
Not under this definition, because we're saying it's, we're taking out that mean, average, midpoint, average, and we're saying the highest point of the roof.
And
Trying to make it a little bit clearer.
Cool. And does it, there's being pedantic, is there a definition of what a half a story actually is?
There is in the ordinance. I don't have it memorized, but it is.
Yeah, but it's specifically defined.
Yeah, it is.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? All right, Mr. Robertson, resolution.
There is also a companion resolution that would be a resolution of a finding of consistency with the master plan that this ordinance, it's a land development ordinance that it is consistent with master plan, and this will be referred back to the town council.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Ms. Pogue?
Yes.
Mr. Popolo?
Yes.
Ms. Kingsley?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Coto?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
All right, and then a couple pieces of correspondence we got in. One was the freshwater front permit associated with the West End improvements. And then the second one was a PSC&G application for land use permits related to their maintenance activities. I believe the notice requirements are planning board is notified. The applications are available at the town if anybody wants to view them. All right, any questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All opposed? Nice, so one less need, less than an hour. So,
Amazing.
I didn't know how long it was. Yeah, big, but. Dave. Good. I haven't been.
Thanks, thank you, your progress. Good. Go to council.
Yeah, 500 years, good. The other one backed out. So apparently Rich didn't know that I left a year ago. He didn't know, but the minute my resignation got this year. It's like John was going to the meeting. Today I got the chance to take more. I sent his resignation a year ago. Oh, yeah. I know. It's great,
And then literally get to go away. Financially.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
I guess they could have said.
Too soon?
I thought it was just very specific.
So this is something like saying is like.
You're busy there, like, go.
Yeah. Get it in there. You can't change it, or I would say. 80%. And then the
Redo
20%
so early on.
Not
But if it's something that we're required to do,
So it's not-
we'll figure it out. No, I didn't.
You get home.
You know.